Hi guys, so today I'm actually working on a watercolor piece that is a portrait, so it's really different from what I've usually done for quite a long time, and I find that it's good to go back to this sort of thing and do stuff like this because it's really necessary to work on your basics and work on being able to draw something that actually looks like something. And so yeah, it was really good to be able to draw this and get a little bit more exercise as far as drawing an actual person that's supposed to look like that person rather than something that I could take a lot of liberties on and could end up looking really anyway because it doesn't matter because you're not comparing it. So yeah, I mean it was really good and it's definitely an experience that I think that I should do a lot more of as far as trying to draw faces that actually look like their human counterpart because I think that'll really help me be able to show a lot more realistic faces in my own drawing and more diversity because I'm actually trying to draw the diversity of how people look rather than the same repetitive thing that I have. So yeah, this was really good. I really did enjoy trying to draw off of an actual person and try to make it look like them because it was definitely a different challenge than the certain challenges that I usually face when I'm usually sketching faces. And I like that. I like being able to feel like there's something that I'm working on and there's something that I'm trying to get better at. And so yeah, this one was definitely a little bit more of a challenge of making sure that it looked like them. And while I was working on this, I actually wanted to focus a lot on the technique of glazing. And glazing in watercolor is where you put down a layer of color and you let it dry, and then you put down another layer and then another or however many you want, and you let those colors combine so it ends up this one really rich, beautiful, complex color that if you were to mix a similar color right off the bat and put it down, you would not get that same effect. And I think it's really interesting. It's actually probably my favorite technique that I learned when I did take a watercolor class. And yeah, I think it's just really cool. And it's interesting because you can really see how like the different pigments act because the different watercolor pigments have a lot of different properties, which I thought was really interesting. Like some pigments will stain the paper, so even if you go back in and try to scrub it out or you add more color after, that stays there. It doesn't change. Where there's some pigments that actually are not permanent, so if you go back in and you scrub at it, it will release from the paper. And yeah, there's just a lot of really interesting things where like some pigments will bleed and others won't. So it's just, there's a lot of, like I said, it's really cool and it's kind of like this cool science that you get to learn about. But when you're glazing, it's cool because like the texture of the paper will actually amplify this a little bit where like some of the pigments will sink down into the cracks of the paper. So it'll have like more of a color in the cracks or in the texture of the paper, I guess, and then on top of it is like a glazing of another color, and then combined they create one color, but when you look at it closer you see that it's like separated into different colors that add together, and it's just really complex and beautiful. And I actually did a chart in that class which I think is super pretty. It's probably one of my favorite things I did in that class, but it's just really cool because we looked at how like the different pigments came together. So if we glazed two different pigments, what it would look like, and then compare that to what it would look like if we mixed it straight out and then just painted that one color, and it really does make a big difference. So yeah, I love that, and I think that that's something that I want to get back into more, is working more in the actual techniques of watercolor and learning a lot more about that, because I think that I'm not using it in the full way that I could if I were studying a little bit more as far as technique wise. And working on the colors for this one was actually really, really pleasant. I mean, I was working off of a photo reference for the colors, so that part was already taken care of for me, but it was really beautiful colors, and it had this golden glow to the photograph, so all of the colors were influenced by that. But yeah, just like working on the colors for this one, it just felt really calm and peaceful, and it was helpful that once I was actually doing the official final painting that all the colors were figured out and I could just work and paint. And I think that's something that I kind of pulled away from for both my watercolor and my digital, so I'd really like to get back into doing multiple color studies, because I think that it's really helpful for me to really get a better grasp of it. And I think that when it comes time to actually doing my piece, is just a lot more stress-free, where I can just sit down and really enjoy the process as opposed to getting hung up on the actual colors that I'm going to use. That is pretty much it for this video today. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you can catch all my future art videos. And until then, I'll see you in my next one. Bye!